Welcome to Content and Conversations, the podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners that want to prioritize connection and relationship as the primary tool to drive sales. Content and conversations are the two most powerful tools you have to attract the most amazing clients, build solid relationships, and sell more stuff. From sales, marketing, energy, and mindset, we'll discuss everything you need to hit your goals, make more money, and have more fun in your business. Let's go. All right, hello, and welcome back to Content and Conversations Live, where today's topic is sales pipeline. What is the sales pipeline? How do we get into a sales pipeline? How do I create a sales pipeline? Is there a sales pipeline in my business? So welcome. I'm so excited you're here. My name is Ryan Dowdy. I am the founder of the Connection Agency, and of course, your host here of Content and Conversations. And sales pipeline is something that we do a lot of inside of the agency, but it's sometimes a word that gets misused or gets lumped into funnels and that sort of stuff. So I just felt really called to break down, like, what is the sales pipeline? Do I have one? How do I intentionally create one? How do I make sure that it is full? How is it different than the funnels that are so often talked about on the internet? And then what do I need to do to make sure that I have a full sales pipeline so that I am enrolling clients into my products and services all of the time? Because that is ultimately what we want to help you do here at the Connection Agency, is end in consistent revenue. And one of the best ways to end in consistent revenue is to have a very healthy sales pipeline. So what is a sales pipeline? Simply put, a sales pipeline is really just how you move people through your buying experience, right? It is really about, where is each deal in your pipeline? Are they cold and they don't know who we are? Are they warm? Are they ready to close? Are they somewhere in the middle? So the pipeline itself is really just the visual representation of, where are each of the deals in my pipeline going from cold, they have no idea we exist, to paying client. Sales processes, sometimes anywhere between 4 and 6 steps. It really depends on how you choose to enroll people into your products and services. So whether you're doing sales calls, or you're converting through your content, or you're doing it in some other way, there's a million different ways to do it. But most people's sales pipelines in a really healthy way are 4 to 6 steps. We spend a lot of time in the lead generation process of the pipeline, if I'm 100% honest, as an agency. But of course, your conversion process is also part of that pipeline, right? Who have we already had a sales call with? Who have we already put a proposal together for? Who is considering working with us? That's all part of your sales pipeline. And so the pipeline itself is actually just the visual representation of that. Which step in the pipeline are each one of these leads? So then how is a sales pipeline different from a funnel, right? And so if you live in online marketing land, funnels are all the jam, all the different things. It's your freebie, your lead magnet, your registration, your sales pages. Those are all more marketing funnels. So the difference between a marketing funnel and a sales pipeline is, a marketing funnel are really just the buying stages, right? So your marketing funnel is, again, these people have no idea who we are. And now it's like, okay, now they know who we are. Now do they have desire? Do they have intent? And then close, right? So your funnel is going to be more the different buying stages, like creating awareness, creating demand, pulling brand new people in, nurturing, giving, just really building a lot of brand awareness. So to me, when we talk about funnels, that is much more a function of marketing. It's about getting people's attention and about pulling them in. When we talk about pipelines, these are the actual deals and opportunities that we're working. These are people that we are in conversation with, people that we know that we're building relationships with, and that are considering buying stuff from us. So every healthy business has a funnel, a marketing funnel, and a sales pipeline in a perfect world. In the agency, we do both, right? That is our superpower as an agency, is the fact that we do both. I spent 15 years in corporate America in sales, selling marketing services. So I learned marketing because I was selling it to my clients, and I learned sales because that's how I made money. So a healthy business has both a marketing funnel and a sales pipeline. A lot of people get these things confused. They are two different things. Because again, the funnel tends to be a lot of the automation, a lot of the email, a lot of the heavy lifting is done outside of the human touch. Whereas for us, when we talk about sales pipeline, we're really talking about, who are we building relationships with, who are actually considering buying our stuff. And we're not just pulling that data from email open rates and clicks, but we're pulling it from like conversations and relationships, right? So your pipeline are, how are the human to human conversations? What is the human relationship and actual deals and opportunities? So we use two words interchangeably. We use the words leads and opportunities, right? So there's leads, right? There's all the people who are following you, all the people who are, a part of your ecosystem, who are on your email list, in your Facebook group, following you on Instagram, following you on LinkedIn, connected with you on Facebook, right? That is your ecosystem. All of those people are leads. When a lead becomes an opportunity is when they're actively engaged, right? We know that they're interested. We know that they have the problem that they solve. They know they're raising their hand in some capacity, or perhaps we've invited them in and they've said, yes, I want more information about what you do. So I just want to be really clear that that is the difference between a marketing funnel and a sales pipeline. And what I'm going to talk about here today is really your sales pipeline. So what do we do to build a healthy sales pipeline? And then of course, how do we keep that sales pipeline full? And that is a lot of the work that we do in the agency. It is the work we do with Connect Chat, which is our social media prospecting tool that we work with our clients. So the first thing you want to do is you want to craft each step of your pipeline. And so this might look a couple of different ways because, the first step of every pipeline is stranger, right? The beginning of a sales pipeline is we have strangers and we have to bring those strangers into our world. We believe there's two ways to pull strangers into our world: contents and conversations, right? So content is the active content that we're putting out on social media, that we're putting out in our email list, our podcasts, our YouTube channels, short form video, what written, all the different ways, blogs, inbound or warm, that's the way we're inviting people in through our content. And then of course, we believe that we invite people in through conversations. So this might be cold messaging, cold outreach, inviting new people in, cold email, cold calling, door pulling, networking, right? So people enter our sales funnel, typically, or sales pipeline, they enter cold. For the most part, sometimes they come in warm. Maybe you're speaking at an event or something along those lines, then they may skip a couple steps in the pipeline. But the first step of every pipeline is cold. They have no idea that they exist, right? So then what do we do then? They have no idea that how we exist. How do we invite them in? So I just said content and conversations. So for us, it's like, what kind of content that we're putting out, that we're pulling people in? What sort of conversations are we having every single day to pull people in? And then of course, once we get inside of conversations, there might be two different inbound and outbound is what I call them, right? So inbound is, again, the people who are engaging with us. Again, that person you met at an event, that person who's engaging your content. And outbound is going to be, this person has no idea that I exist, but maybe we're in the same Facebook group, we're connected on LinkedIn, we're connected on Instagram. They started, whatever the case may be, and we are inviting them in. So they start as strangers, right? We pull them into our world. And then for me, what we do is we divvy them up into two different buckets: cold and inbound and outbound. Right. So then from there, what do we do? What do we want them to do? Everybody's pipeline looks different. This is one of the things that I'm also a huge fan of and a big believer in, is the idea that everybody's pipeline looks the same is bullshit. The idea that there's only one way to run a pipeline is bullshit. The idea that, there is a right way and a wrong way, also bullshit, right? As long as you're inviting new people in and moving them through the process and getting them to give you money, cool. Everybody does it differently. So, we have several different ways that we do this. We have a demo, right? So of our software, if you are interested in Connect Chat, you can book a demo and get on the phone with a member of our team and we'll show you how to use the software, right? That's one way that we move people through. Some people, we have a private podcast that sells our 30-day boot camp, right? So that's another way that we pull people into our pipeline, is we say, hey, do you want to listen to this podcast? So again, they come in cold, we divvy them up, inbound and outbound, and then we walk them through specific steps that get them to lead and that get them to become an opportunity, right? Are they interested? That sort of stuff. Are they qualified? Are they somebody who has the problem that they solve? Are we a fit energetically? Are we a fit from a values perspective, right? There's a lot of different ways that you're judging people through or I don't want to say judging, that's a terrible word, right? But that you're deciding where in my pipeline, where in my ecosystem does this person exist, right? And a lot of people are going to fall out, just like any traditional marketing funnel, right? Where we have, 100 people at the top and we have, 8 at the bottom. It's going to look the exact same way in your sales pipeline. The difference here is that, the not as many fall out at the bottom because it's the human to human connection. So we don't miss as many of them, right? So that's why we're a both and. I believe strongly in both and, right? We need our marketing, we need our automation, we need our email touches and all those things, but we also need that human to human connection, because we keep people from falling out of our funnels and falling out of our pipeline if they feel like they actually have a relationship with us, right? So that's really, really, really important. So you have to craft each step of your pipeline. What are the steps that we walk people through that get us to a buying decision? And again, that will look different for every single one of you. But what you ultimately want is, you want people who match your values. You want people who can afford your stuff. You want people who have the problem that you solve and that you can get really amazing results, right? That's who we want at the end of our pipeline. So the top of our pipeline starts with a little broader, right? We are traditionally looking at people on social media and then driving them through, right? So the first step of building a pipeline is crafting each step of the pipeline. And then what are those touch points inside of that pipeline? And again, that's going to look different for all of us as well. So then the second thing that we have to do is we have to track our sales pipeline. This is actually, I think we all have pipelines and we all have funnels. It's the tracking that is eluding most entrepreneurs right now. They're not actually tracking those touches. They're kind of spray and pray, cross our fingers, hope people make it through the bottom. I don't know. I hope they see my email. I hope they see this. I hope they see this. Like what we're looking to do, and one of the things we do, and the reason we're so obsessed with Connect Chat, which is our social media prospecting tool, is because it is the tracking tool. You can visibly look and see where are the people in my pipeline. And if I don't have enough people close enough to close in my pipeline, I have a pipeline problem and I need to go put more people in the top of it. Or, I have a whole bunch of people getting ready to close, but nobody in the new side of my pipeline, or everybody's in the new side of my pipeline, but they're not coming all the way through. This is how we're able to create predictability in business. When you are tracking your sales pipeline, you know where your deals are, you know where your opportunities are, you know where the next client is coming from. This is when business gets fun, right? This is when business gets exciting. And you might be thinking, Ryan, I'm nowhere near that right now in my business. You may be closer than you think that you are, but the sooner you start doing this and building this intentionally, the closer you get to it, right? A lot of people think, well, I don't need a sales pipeline because I don't want to sign hundreds and hundreds of clients. Bullshit, right? Like if you want to make sure that you have, even if your client roster is full right now, you should be actively filling your sales pipeline every single week. And because you never know when a client cancels, when a client goes away, right? You have no idea when they put in their notice, and you don't want to find a gap in your client roster and not know how to fill it or where to fill it, right? So every single business who wants to make sure, even if you're not actively adding dozens of clients every single week or every single month, doesn't mean you don't need a sales pipeline. That is a very common misconception, especially one that's taught in the online space, right? If you're just a one-to-one service provider with a full roster of 8 to 10 clients, you don't have to do all this shit. Bullshit. Because when one of those 8 to 10 clients goes away, or heaven forbid, I mean, we've had clients lose 4 clients in 1 month. That becomes, detrimental to your business and detrimental to your personal finances as well, right? So you want to make sure that that pipeline is actively full. First step in pipeline building, craft each step of the pipeline. And then we need to make sure that we are tracking the pipeline. And then the third thing that we need to do is we need to move people through that pipeline every single day. There needs to be intentional time on your calendar every single day where either you are working the pipeline or a member of your team is working the pipeline, right? So again, if you're still in the solopreneur phase of the business, maybe a couple $1,000s a month, even up to a couple $100,000 a year, right? You might be the one who is actively moving people through your funnel until you get to a point where you are then hiring a team who is moving people through your pipeline. But you want to make sure that you are moving people through every single day. And again, this is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. Either our client rosters get full, we get really busy, we do a lot of traveling, we have a lot going on, we've got a big project, we've got a big initiative, and then we stop building our pipeline. And an empty pipeline is, again, could be catastrophic to your business if you're not actively filling it every single day. And the question you might be asking yourself right now is like, well, yeah, but I'm marketing every single day. Like we're adding people to the email list every single day. But if we're adding people to the email list, doesn't actively add people to the sales pipeline. And theoretically it should, but in a lot of businesses, it just does not. If adding people to your email list isn't actively adding them to your sales pipeline, that's a problem. So a lot of people, again, if you're running conversion events, webinars, challenges, launches, that sort of stuff, theoretically, the people who are coming in, registering for those events, we know on average, in a good launch, 1 to 3 of those people actually buy. We know, maybe about 20% of those people actually make it to the sales pipeline, right? So 100 people may register for your launch event, but actually only 20 of them are actively engaged in that launch event. And then we know that again, 3 to 5 of them are actively going to buy. So we just need to make sure that everything that we are doing is moving people towards the sales pipeline, right? Everything that's happening out here, our social media marketing, our email marketing, our launches, our challenges, our webinars, all the things that we're doing are actively putting people in this sales pipeline. And when you have a strong sales pipeline and a targeted sales pipeline, this is how we make sure that we don't lose leads from launches to launches, right? If you are someone who launches, when you have an active sales pipeline and you're constantly in communication with your people, it doesn't matter that they didn't close in that last launch because you've got an ongoing dialogue with them, right? You're building relationships, you're building rapport, you're finding that right timing for them and with them. And so that is why, again, I don't care what your conversion strategy is, even if it's a sales call, if it's a demo, if it's a click to buy, knowing where people are in each step of the pipeline is what, again, creates predictability, creates system, and ultimately creates scale. You cannot scale a business if you do not know what it takes to sign a client. And the sales pipeline is what actually helps us break down the sales math that we need to have to understand, okay, I post on social media 3 times a day and I invite, I start conversations with 30 new people every day, and I invite X number of people into my world every single day, that I know that that's going to yield me A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So having a sales pipeline is what creates that sales math so that we can then make sure that the sales activity is matching. So I'm hoping you're seeing how all of these dots connect a little bit. I feel like I'm a little in the weeds right now. So forgive me if I'm giving you too much sales speak, but this is something that is not talked about in the online world, right? We talk about funnels. We talk about launches and challenges and webinars and all these magical ways to convert people into clients. But really at the end of the day, the number one question that I want to know is like, what's your sales pipeline look like? What 5 deals are ready to close in the next 30 days? What 5 deals are ready to close? Like, who are your hottest and warmest prospects, and what are you doing to nurture and build relationships with them? Most people don't know the answer to that question. We're just praying that they open that email that we send out once every 2 weeks and they buy something. That is not a sales pipeline. That is just like hope and pray. And hope and pray has gotten me to a lot of places. So I am not discounting the importance of that. But when it comes to really systematically and intentionally building and crafting a business and signing a number of clients and hitting your sales and revenue goals, knowing this information is critical, right? You're never walking into a software company and asking them to look at their sales pipeline and they don't know the answer to that, right? This is why so many businesses have gotten in trouble in the past handful of years, is that they've really relied on spray and pray, or their funnels to do their heavy lifting. And as the market shifts, as buying behaviors change, as people have more and more discernment in how they're showing up in the world, they're not just buying through random funnels anymore, right? They want that human to human connection. They want relationships with the brand. They want shared values. And so sales pipelines allows us to do that and be able, again, to manage those opportunities and to know, hey, what is in my pipeline? What opportunities do I have to close? What opportunities are coming next? And so they create predictability. They create systems. They create processes, which is all what we ultimately want, right? We want to take the guessing out of our sales and marketing. And so by really intentionally putting a sales pipeline into your business, and again, we love Connect Chat for tracking our pipeline. Maybe you want it, maybe you use Trello, maybe you use Google Sheets. It doesn't matter as long as those activity is happening. So quick recap for you. How do we craft our sales pipeline? Number one, we make sure that we have each step of the pipeline mapped out. The second one is we make sure we track everything that is happening inside of your business. And the third thing we do is we make sure that we are moving people through it every single day, adding people to the appropriate places and looking at our pipelines as actively as we are looking. And if it comes to a point where we can't do it as the owner of the business, then it is time to get help to help us do that, because this is the lifeblood of your business, a healthy sales pipeline. This is what, multi-million-dollar companies, Fortune 500 companies, startups that are being well-funded, these are the things that are being looked at, is what does your sales pipeline look at? They're not worried about your, a lot of people in online space are like, look at my hundreds of thousands of people on my email list. It's like, we don't give a shit how many of those people are actually buying, how many of those people are actual opportunities, how many of those people are actively engaged in the buying process. And if you're just pushing communication out to them via email, they're not actively involved. They're not actively involved, right? An active opportunity is somebody where there is active dialogue happening between you and that person. So that, my friends, is sales pipelines. I feel like I got a little bit in the weeds for you, so I hope I didn't make it overwhelming. Again, this is already happening in your business, my friend. You do not need to go out and create anything new. You don't need to, any of that other stuff. If you have clients, if you're actively marketing, this is actively happening in your business right now. Your opportunity now is to make sure that you are intentionally creating this in your business. So you are intentionally creating opportunities. You're intentionally adding new people in. That's what I want you to walk away from this. Is not that this isn't happening inside of your business, but how do we make it happen intentionally in a way that sets you up to hit your goals, right? Hit your sales goals, hit your revenue goals, get where you want to go. So thank you all so much. For those of you here on the chat, thank you for giving me feedback. For those of you on the podcast, and in the replay, we are so grateful for every single one of you, and we'll see you all next week. Bye now. Thank you so much for listening to Content and Conversations. If this was helpful for you, I would love if you would follow along, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you next week.